my name is Jörg Krebber, and I want to tell you a little nice story which happened to me personally, like 70 years ago exactly. Yeah, and that was when I was born. But the problem was, I was born sick. Yeah, actually, I had half of my back was open, and my spleen was enlarged, and I had a big, like, open, half-open back, which is very dangerous, but it grew together over the time, and I got a lot of fantastic radiation on it. So what did radiation do if it's overdone? Yeah, it burned a lot of my skin, and so my half side of my back was always burned, yeah, and still is. So, but that is the skin. Finally, I grew a little older, and I developed a severe asthma, yeah, quickly. I mean, I actually had it already when I was born. Then I had hay fever, but my asthma was so severe that twice in a year I was not knowing what to do because I know I was almost suffocating. And in my time, there was not so good medication available, right, as today is, because when you're really severe sick, and then our good, strong medications are necessary. So, with 13, I had my thyroid cut out. With 14, I developed hepatitis A. I was 6 months in hospital in Munich. Nobody knew why, because I haven't been in Africa. Neither did I have an African girlfriend. Right, so anyhow, we don't know where it's coming from. And then I had developed over the time, or they found out that my heart valves are not equally balanced, right? So finally, I went to North Germany because of my allergy, hay fever, and asthma, and that improved a lot. Also, it had a little bit to do with growing older, and so asthma was better, but I meanwhile had already started many different ways of eating and what not to eat, and so find out. When I was in Hamburg, I had actually then, yeah, you could say, the chance to experience Western medicine a second time because I developed hepatitis B. And then again I was in hospital, right? For this time not 6 months, only for 4 months, but on intensive care because it was contagious, my hepatitis B. The thing is, there I experienced something very interesting. A first medical diet for 4 months. What was that? White toast bread, jam, some kind of yogurt, and tea for 4 months to cure my liver. Well, my liver wasn't cured, it was better, it was not contagious, but then something else was sick. What was not sick up to then? It was my whole digestive, yeah, tract. So I had diarrhea. When I was released, the diarrhea didn't stop, and over the years, they found out it was even Crohn's disease. So when I was 25 years of age, I had Crohn's disease, and much more I couldn't have anymore. I had and then the third, hepatitis C, yeah, A, B, and C, evolved. Right, and then there's diarrhea, and there was only bones. And I could eat what I want. I could eat it literally on the toilet because it was just going right through. And that I know and I believe it was coming from the diet I was given 4 months in the hospital, because which that is already, you know what it is? We don't want to talk about that, right? Has nothing to do with medical understanding or medical sense. Right, so then finally with age of 25, the doctors said, well, we have done now everything with you, which is true. We can't help you any further. Then I thought, okay, so what? How long do I have to live? I may say maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years, yeah, in your state, because food, what I was eating, was not anymore being digested. I was just could eat all the time. Then I decided, and that was already then 1971, I decided, okay, if I have to die, I die in India. But I have at least a chance finding somebody there from the Ayurvedic or the Tibetans, because I was already doing yoga and meditation. I tried everything, right, from the other kingdom, because I knew our Western medicine cannot help me, yeah, and they didn't. So, and I believe and I know they don't even today have no clue if it is hepatitis or if you have a Crohn's disease. Yeah? They can put something over it and prolong your life, but I'm talking about how to cure yourself. And exactly that I mean what I say, because when I reached then in Nepal, and I went in Nepal 1 hour away from Kathmandu, is a big, big monastery, and I went into this monastery, went to the doctor there, and the doctor was a small, tiny man, and he checked my pulses here, and then he was talking to somebody else, and he did a lot of things. He was watching me a little bit, and which I understood not then, but later. But he didn't really take care of me. But on and off, he came and touched my pulses. And eventually he said to me, well, don't worry, very easy. Yeah? You stay here, you come back 3 times in the week, we will give you medication, and first thing what we will give you is something for your hepatitis, because my hepatitis was not so easy, because my liver was full in pain. Yeah? 3 times, A, then B, and then C. And I had pain for years here. So he gave me a medication, it's called 13 days. And it was known in Nepal 13 days. You can check in the internet, the Tibetans still know about this 13 days medication, because that is for the liver only. And what does it do 13 days if you take the medication? I asked him that, what will it do? Well, he said, then your liver is fine, you have no problem anymore. And I thought, okay, I leave this idiot, but my liver, I'm running around for 25 years, and he tells me in 13 days, I have your liver cured. But I did not know, fortunately, not know where to go to. I knew I couldn't go back to those idiots, right? So I had to stay with that one. And you know what? In 13 days, my liver was cured from this medication. Why we don't have this medication here in Europe? You know very well why. Yeah? Because it's not wanted, it cures, and it does cure, and it has no side effects, only one, and it made me very happy. Right? Now, then I had still to deal with my digestive disorders. It was a lot better, because when you have a digestive disorder, right, it is because of the liver not functioning well, right? So because pancreas and those ones are giving the ingredients into our intestines, yeah, for helping to everything that we eat to digest. So slowly, then I was starting to live there and in Nepal, and I started this kind of medicine. And the medicine was different from ours, because they said you have to entertain on 4 different levels, yeah, your healing process, which is by sport, which we do sport here. We think it's very healthy, no doubt it is, but we have fitness here and they have relaxing sport. Yoga, Tai Chi, which is very important to calm down, to stretch your body. It's a different system, yin and yang you can call it. Then by food, and that is the 5-element, yeah, order, and it's a very clear, precise order, which old Ayurveda has it in a fantastic way. Then is what to drink, not like we are being told here, you have to drink 5 liters of water and flush your body. You know, that is only true, flushing the body, if you live like a toilet. But if you eat like not being a toilet, if you eat properly, that what the body does not acknowledge as a poison that needs to be flushed, then you have drinks. And what is it the people drink? The Chinese drink green tea. And green tea, you boil it, you can put it with salts. It's very famous in Asia to have in the green tea salt, and it didn't do any harm. All those people who were drinking did not have a heart problem. Right? So, then we have soups, and if you take away, still today, from the Chinese, the soup, yeah, pot, the kettle where the soup is in, he will be angry. If you take his wife, he's not so angry, but his soup you can't take from him. Right? So drinking is a complete different thing, because drinking is what we need most, and we don't have in the East, we don't have an Eastern breakfast. We have, when you're in the East, and those one who have been traveling in the East, they know, we have a continental breakfast, right? So, but we don't have an Eastern breakfast. You know, they don't have it, they skip it. But they drink. And what they drink is first they have tea, then they have soups, and that in the morning. Yeah, if you tell the people have a soup in the morning, they think you're crazy, what I'm talking about it. But we did it also in old times, because 150 years ago, I know from history, which is prescribed and taught in Munich in a university. It's astonishing. It's an American professor. He teaches food history. And there, I talked to him, and he said 150 years, all European countries were having a grain soup in the morning, either from oats, and we know porridge is like a soup. When you were very sick, then you had it very thin with salt, right? So we had no bread rolls, croissant, and buns, and big bread. No, that was not available. That came in the afternoon. People were having a corn soup, or a grain soup, or lentil soup. Now, or vegetable soup, but always starting with soup, and there was salt and herbs and spices in it. Our spices, not Ayurvedic. So we did it also, and the Asian people still do it. And when it comes to food and drinking, there in the West we go totally nuts, absolutely crazy. Yeah? Why don't we copy that, what the Asians do, and they live healthy and they're good, and they don't have all these diseases? 5% is only Asian cancer from ours. Medical kingdom says, well, they have other genes, which is a complete stupid expression to say. If they have other genes, they're either in the jungle or in the zoo, right? But there we have all the same genes. Now, this next thing is, and that's the biggest problem here in the West, is, but for the Shaolin monks, it was the most important one. They call mechanical, it right sport, right food, right drinks, but now comes the worst, right thinking. Do you know anyone that knows what that is? Right thinking? You ask, yeah? Hallelujah. Here we have a big, big story, because what is it now? We are having only our own thoughts trained by our wrong education. Now, thinking is a big thing here, which we will come anyhow to it. Thinking at least how to understand food will work. And then this is something that is new also in our Western medicine. It's called epigenetics. We now know that our genes are in our body as long, still or inert, as long nothing comes on to them. But the moment genes come from outside, then the inner genes in us, our own, will react to it. So we are depending on epigenetics. Everything, you know what? We're depending on the air we breathe, we're depending on the food, on the liquid we drink, we're depending even on what we say, what we talk, how we feel emotionally with each other, right? And so everything is, why we live is the influence from outside. And these are the 4 pillars. Epigenetics, thinking is how our psyche is going, yeah? Whether you're a psycho or not. Then you have, here in drinking, we have the electrolytes. The food is the chemical process in the body, yeah? And the mechanical process in the body is as well. Now, the hospital I was doing all these things simultaneously every day together. You had to do yoga. You had to have the right food. You had not what you wanted. Everybody was having the same. Also in all the Indian ashrams in the 70s were still wonderful. You were surprised, yeah, when you wanted to go even in a China or Indian kitchen to cook there, and you would go there, oh yes, I'm from Europe, I'm here a hero, I want to help in the kitchen. And then, you know what the answer was? Well, come back in 5 years. Yeah? First, do your numbers here. You know why? Because in China, in Japan, in India, only the best of the pupils, the best of the disciples, were after a long time allowed to go in the kitchen. And you know who is today in the kitchen? You don't want to know that. We know it. Yeah? Who is in the kitchen? The worst of the worst. Right? But what they do is they disguise them in white robe, very clean. And what do they disguise? They're not knowing. Their unknowingness. So here we have a whole different story, 5 pillars. These we have been also understood we can eat, right? 5 elements, but that is the basic of our life in general. And when we talk in the future, and when this planet is supposed to have a future, then it's only because of the health and well-being of mankind. And that has not any other possibility except going back to live on these 4 states of health and understanding. And furthermore, in the old times, all people knew that. We knew it here in the West. People had another behavior. It's not only that China and Asia had that. We also knew it. Our monasteries were very, very, very well educated in all this knowledge. And they had perfect food. They had perfect understanding of medicine, how the food was done. The problem was, in old times, especially in Europe, we had a lot of catastrophes which were man-made by wars, right? And we still have man-made catastrophes. So far to this, the next step is how we get all this in line, in balance, and that is about alkalinity and acidity, and this is a big, big story. So thank you.